Uncut with Lucia. Today we have Nadia Bruce-Rawlings. Nadia is the author of the books Scars and Driving in the Rain. So, Nadia, welcome to Uncut with Lucia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure, Nadia. And since when you started writing?
Oh gosh, since I was little, I had a diary when I was 5 that I wrote in all the time, but I started writing short stories probably in junior high.
And you usually write memoirs?
I started, I did a bit of both, but it's been mostly memoir since I started writing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I saw you wrote the book Scars. I am curious to know why you decided to write a book with this title.
Well, it's a book of short stories. This is Scars. Um, and short stories and poetry. And one of the stories is called Scars. And the reason for that, it's sort of a listing of my physical scars and then the emotional scars behind them. So, for instance, a suicide attempt, scars from that, and the emotional reasoning behind that, or I have a scar on my neck that was from when I was 18 when they thought I had cancer, which I didn't, thank God. And then the emotions that I went through behind that diagnosis, etc. So it's just a list of all my physical scars, and I have a lot. Um, and then the emotional trauma behind them.
Okay, and can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah. So try to be as short as possible. I grew up all over the world. My father worked for an oil company, so I lived in Egypt and Norway and Canada and Dallas and the Bahamas and the UK. And, we had a good life, but my father was an alcoholic and I became an alcoholic. And then later ended up becoming a crackhead. And I now have 23 years sober, but before I was, I was homeless. I was in jail. Life was not so good. And then I got sober. I went to rehab for 6 months, got sober, worked, had a baby, met the love of my life who I'd actually known before, but we re-met. And life is really good. We live in Nashville now. We lived in Los Angeles for a long time. I worked in the film industry, and I've been writing forever.
And you were sober for 23 years, Nadia. And where do you find strength? Because it's not easy.
Yeah, going to rehab for 6 months helped tremendously. And then I have just a great support system. Women who I help, I sponsor about 7 or 8 people. And then my sponsor is this fabulous woman who's 84, I believe. And she's just amazing. And the other women in my life are amazing. And my daughter, and who's 21 now, and books, and just so much.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot. And this experience that you have, like you lived in many, many different places, did it influence on your writing process?
Yeah. In Driving in the Rain, which is my second book, Driving in the Rain, which is also short stories and poetry. I wrote about Egypt. There's a couple stories about Egypt and living there. My mom died of lung cancer in a holistic clinic in Tijuana, Mexico. And so I've written about that in both Scars and Driving in the Rain. And different, I think just living in different cultures educates you about people and about inner workings of people. I became very observant because I couldn't necessarily speak the language. I didn't really learn that much Arabic, and I didn't learn Norwegian till later. So I became very observant. I would just watch people, and instead of eavesdropping on them, I would watch their mannerisms and their affectations. And that's, of course, helped with writing.
Yeah, what you said about being more able to observe people, because I had the same experience you had. I lived in Middle East, and sometimes you don't understand what they say, but when you stop and observe what is going on, you can feel what they want, or it's a very positive experience.
Exactly. I think it makes you more empathetic, because you grow to understand people in that way.
Understand the difference. Yeah.
Yes, tremendously.
And what is the story behind Driving in the Rain?
So Driving in the Rain, I was going to call the book something else, A Memory Between, which is also a good title. And then I was sending pictures for the cover to my publisher, and I included one which I didn't think would work at all. And I said, just ignore the one with the lights and the rain. And she said, no, that's the one. And it's going to be called Driving in the Rain. And I said, well, okay. But I don't have a story or poem called Driving in the Rain. And she said, well, write one. so I wrote one that evening, actually, which became the first poem in the book, and the cover, the title poem, about driving in the rain with my daughter when she was an infant. And I would go, you want to get your baby to sleep and they won't go to sleep. So you put them in the car seat and you drive and they fall asleep. And I'd tell her it was an adventure. And I'd go down to where I used to buy drugs and stuff, and have like memories of how it was. And then this reminder in the back seat of how it is now, and of my baby, and how wonderful life has become. So that's what that poem is about.
And it's beautiful. I want to read your book. Yeah, definitely. And so your books were finalists of Glimmer Train Writing Contest. So
Yes.
It was Fire and Scars, if I'm not wrong. Is correct?
I believe so. Definitely Fire. Yeah. Fire and Scars. The short stories. So Glimmer Train is a literary journal. I think it's monthly. It might be quarterly. I forget now. But it's a prestigious literary journal. And so I submitted Fire, which is actually one of the fiction stories in Scars. Most of it is nonfiction and memoir, but Fire is actually fiction. And that was a finalist. It didn't win, but it was a finalist. And Scars as well, which is a true story.
Nadia, do you have writer's block, or you absolutely don't?
I totally have writer's block right now, especially. I go through periods where it just comes out. I'll get an idea while I'm driving, or just sitting around, and a sentence will pop into my head, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I could do something with that. And then I'll write, and it just comes out, and then there'll be weeks or months where I don't write anything. And I understand that you're supposed to write every day if you're a writer. And I used to, but I don't do that anymore. just because I don't know why. And right now, so I finished Driving in the Rain probably, I don't know, 6 months ago, something like that. And I just haven't written a thing since then. I'm not sure, because I've been writing memoirs so long. I've kind of, we're kind of done with that. Now I have to get on to fiction or someone else's story. And I'm not exactly sure where to begin. But it'll come.
Yeah, we always can decide. And when, for example, you have writer's block, there is anything that you do. For example, I start exercising. When I am trying to write, nothing comes. It's like, it's impossible what I do. I have to go out to walk or to do some classes, something like this. So when you know that you have like a deadline for that book, you do something exclusively?
I do. Music really helps, like listening to the lyrics of songs or even reading someone else's writing. It brings up, especially, music that I know, it brings up memories and words and memories, and that'll help put it out. And I like a writer's prompt, like just someone giving me a sentence or a subject, which is what Iris, my publisher, did with Driving in the Rain. Just a prompt, have it be driving in the rain. So then I wrote around that.
So what comes first, the plot or character?
I think characters. I don't do well with dialogue, oddly enough. And I worked in the film industry forever, and people were always like, you should write a script. And I'm like, I don't write dialogue well. I hardly write dialogue. Most of my stories are just descriptions and character descriptions and plot, but no dialogue, really.
Mm-hmm. Nadia, what is your mission? What do you still want to accomplish?
I mean, part of me is I want people to read Scars and Driving in the Rain and get help from it, know that there is hope, because especially Scars is very intense, and it talks about abuse and abuse of all kinds, physical, emotional, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, the whole gambit, and then recovery and redemption, or something like that. It talks about there being hope and a good life to follow once you get help, and having women and men, because I've had both, read this and say, you told my story, and because of you, I've reached out for help, and I know there's hope, and that makes me feel just unbelievably happy.
This is a beautiful mission.
Yeah.
You are going to help many people, and I would like you could talk a little bit about sponsoring these 8 or so ladies. How is this project?
It's tough. It's fun because they're funny. Some of them not so much. So what happens is, in AA or any of the 12-step programs, the 12th step is helping others to achieve recovery as well. And so sponsoring someone is meaning you take them through the 12 steps. You're there as a mentor, and to listen to them and not judge them, and not just give them guidance in life, basically, but most, revolving around the 12 steps, not like marriage help or anything like that. And so all the women I help are all very different. And some of them have been very young, and some of them have been older than me. Some of them have several years of sobriety when they switch to me as a sponsor. And some of them are brand new and struggling. And you learn their stories, and you learn absolutely never judge them. All their secrets, they have to be safe to tell you those. You know, it has to feel safe to tell you and know that you won't tell anyone else and you won't judge them, and you're there just to love them and guide them.
And you've never thought about writing a book for this theme?
I definitely have, actually, because I've got some good ones. There's some stories that, you know, where you're like, wow, that happened to you? My gosh. So definitely, I just need to, you know, change enough so that it doesn't give them away.
And Nadia, where can we find you and your work?
So I have a website. It's NadiaBruce-Rawlings.com, and it's Nadia, Nadia, Bruce, and then Rawlings, RAWLINGS.com. And it has both my books, which are on sale at the moment. And it has my background and, you know, my bio and all that on it too. Nadia Bruce-Rawlings for Instagram.
For Instagram. And your books are on sale now?
Yeah, they're 20% off each.
Okay, Amazon or any other?
On Amazon, they're regular price, but on my website, they're 20% off. So,
Okay.
But they are on Amazon, both of them. And you can get Kindle for Scars. Driving in the Rain isn't on Kindle yet.
It's not. And do you think about like audiobooks?
I do. Yeah, I haven't. It's tough. I don't know why. I just feel like it would be hard to read and get it right. But it's something I've thought of.
Think about it. I just love audiobooks when I'm driving, when I'm cleaning.
Yeah.
I can't do anything without listening to either podcasts or audiobooks.
Yep.
So Nadia, was a pleasure again to talk with you. I wish you success. I wish you are able to help people the way you are doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Pleasure.